Etsy as a company as a whole is about 40% customer support, 40% engineering and product, and then 20% everything else.
And you started off with a small team of friends. How many people are here today?
So we're just about to hit 100 people here in Brooklyn today. Yeah, started with 2 guys and a couple cats in my apartment in Brooklyn and has kind of grown to this.
Rob Kalin is the CEO of Etsy, a marketplace for handmade goods. After dropping out of nearly half a dozen colleges before graduating from NYU, he pursued a career designing furniture. The only problem, he couldn't find a proper place to sell his goods online. From that need, Etsy was born.
It comes with how I grew up and what I did and what my dad did, and for me it was making furniture, and so there's always this idea of being able to make what you need, and part of that is being able to sell what you make. And so what interests me most with Etsy was, I was making things and trying to sell them, but there wasn't a marketplace where I could be who I was and sell what I was making. And so for me, the handmade aspect of Etsy is as much about the marketplace itself as it is a means of production, because there's also vintage and supply sold on the site. So to me, it's this real human-to-human marketplace where the community is driving the commerce.
So to date, Etsy has raised about $30 million, but what was it like to try to raise money during that initial early stage?
Yeah, early on was a little bit like the Wild West, where you start with what you have at hand. And so for me, that meant starting with nothing and kind of not paying rent and just working with a couple friends, not getting paid a dime to build something we really believe in. And then once you launch it, the next big trick is finding money to support the growth on the technical side for servers. And so for me, I just went to people I knew. So I installed a bar for this great guy named Spencer Ain, who lives in Manhattan, and he came to me when he knew that I was working on Etsy and said that he'd like to invest. And so that was totally out of the blue and wonderful. And then I'd helped a restaurateur install some internets in an internet cafe that he was running here, Sean Meenan, another great guy. And so those were Etsy's first 2 investors. And then you build on your successes. So I didn't want to approach Katerina and Stuart, founders of Flickr, without having something to show, because I don't like pitching a business plan. I want to show what I've made.
Today, he's made a site that's on track to hit roughly $400 million in gross merchandise sales this year. That equals lots of transactions, but thin on profits. Etsy only takes 3% of each transaction. Rob says profits will eventually follow volume, and he's staying focused on building traffic.
Don't you care about profits there?
Yeah, so profits isn't a focus. You can be penny wise and pound foolish, and so focusing on profits, especially the stage that Etsy's at right now, in my mind, can actually compromise future growth. So we're really thinking long term right now, and right now it's far more important to build up engagement than it is to build up profits.
When do you think you're going to reach $1 billion in gross merchandise sales?
I see Etsy as a drop in the bucket right now, and the size of the opportunity for this is very, very big, just because so many people are making these small handmade businesses, and it doesn't necessarily have to be selling handmade goods, obviously. But looking forward a couple years, I'd like to be doing at least a couple $1 billion in sales each year.
If Etsy becomes a billion-dollar company, chances are Rob will still be the CEO. That wasn't always a given. In 2008, he stepped down and tapped Maria Thomas from NPR to lead the way. He announced his return last year and says he has a social strategy that will take Etsy to the next level. You stepped back from the CEO role and then eventually came back last year. Why did you step away, and why did you come back?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think all of us are just trying to do what's best for Etsy at that particular time. And so for me personally, after having just given my life to something 4 years full tilt, I think Mike Arrington would say he knows how it feels. Right around that 4 or 5 year mark, a certain type of burnout hits, and it was also good to bring more structure into the insides of Etsy. And so Maria originally joined as COO. She became CEO. I became CCO. So I got to focus on what I was enjoying more, which was the creative stuff and the product stuff. And then after a bit of time with that kind of founding passion that you have when you start something, and that overarching strategy that you can see when the idea kind of first flashes in your mind, we felt that we still needed that to kind of take the company forward from where we are now to where we want to go.
Why do you think you deserve to be back as CEO, back in the driver's seat? Is there anything really unique about your vision that you think will take Etsy to that next stage?
Sure, and so why do I deserve to be CEO is something that you got to earn every day, so I definitely don't take that title for granted. And as far as where we want to go, to me, the most important part of commerce is the social aspect of it. The social aspect drives the marketplace. The first successful websites are usually just kind of imitating what's offline and putting it online, and then they slap some social stuff on the side, which is what Amazon has done and what eBay has done. And for me, there's a huge opportunity to reinvent what commerce means as native to the web. And so that's our goal, and we're either going to pull it off in the next, I would say, 12 to 18 months, or we're just going to keep trying, but this is what we're pushing for.
So what is key to your social strategy here? Is it something in-house, internal, where consumers can talk to each other on Etsy, or is it relying on the other social media platforms like Facebook or like a Twitter?
So the Clue Train Manifesto, which was published in 1999, to me is still prescient, and the first thesis in the Clue Train Manifesto is markets are conversations. So for us at Etsy, we want to figure out how buying an item from someone is a conversation. And so, Facebook's message is to connect and share, and so Etsy's taking that one further, where it's connect, share, and exchange things. We're playing with ways to create more social layers inside that experience. So one would be being able to have a conversation with people who you're buying from inside of your shopping cart. Another one would be using search queries, not just to connect people to items, but to connect people to other people. To me, this is the power of the web. So, that quote from Aristotle, man as a political animal, is actually mistranslated. It's man as a polis-making animal, and not man, human. So humans are kind of village-making species, and we want to connect with other people. And so Facebook has shown the power of just enabling that. How is Facebook incentivizing people to connect with all these other people? And Mark Zuckerberg talks about this idea of being a gift economy. So that desire to share is very powerful, and they've shown what it can do in the personal and social space, and we're out to show what it can do in the marketplace.